We're 46th per capita in funding in the United States for people with mental illness. But we have the second highest rate of mental illness in the United States. So we have one of the highest rates of the disease, and it is a disease, make no mistake, and one of the lowest rates of per capita funding. That's not because of you all. You all have been talking about this issue and championing this issue the last couple of years, and we are really fortunate. We are really fortunate that that dialogue is happening. But you have decades of underfunding that you've inherited. So just know that I recognize that when I talk about this system. It is not our current governor for certain who fights for these issues. It is not our current legislature. But it is the system that we've inherited. So, given that that's our system, let me explain how mental health and substance abuse services work in the state of Oklahoma. The only way you can get help is if you are severely, acutely ill. What do I mean by that? Well, the fact is that basically we have enough money to reach enough resources to reach a third of Oklahomans who need help, who qualify, who have severe mental illnesses, and addiction issues. Well, if you can only reach a third of Oklahomans who need help, how do you decide who to help? Well, you serve those that are the most ill, those that are at risk of harming themselves or someone else. And so literally, our community mental health centers, the majority of whom are our private providers, a couple who are our state-operated providers who are amazing partners, have illness severity criteria. And we don't have time to mess around at the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. We are stretching every dime as far as we can and helping as many people as we can in a day. So we didn't get real fancy. So our community mental health centers, our priority criteria is named priority 1, 2, 3, and 4. We don't have time to come up with fancy names. If you are a priority 1 or priority 2 individual in the state of Oklahoma, which means you're severe mental illness, and when we talk about severe mental illness, Kathy did a great job. We're talking about schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorder, addiction. Those are the kind of mental health issues we're talking about. If your illness is so severe that you meet priority 1 or 2, you can access services in the state of Oklahoma. But if you have a diagnosed by a physician severe mental illness that doesn't reach that threshold of being a priority 1 or priority 2 in your severity at that moment, you cannot receive help in the state of Oklahoma unless you can pay for it yourself.
Through my journey in seeing and working with thousands of persons, I'm young, but yes, thousands of persons over the years in 3 different states, and national work with the American Psychiatric Association, I've witnessed firsthand the limitations of our healthcare services to engage populations in their health, who at times, by virtue of their intrinsic illness state, lack the capacity to make informed decisions on their own best interest. I've witnessed needless suffering as evidence-based treatments that can restore the capacity for thought and ration are neglected in the name of autonomy. Family members and service providers, such as myself, must stand helplessly by until their loved ones and patients begin to teeter on the edge of death or grave disability from isolation, self-neglect, unfettered substance use, and increasing levels of evidence for the potential of violence to self or others. Our current approach to treatment in these situations is akin to pulling them back over the edge when we finally have evidence that they are falling off of a cliff. This approach takes more effort, time, and resources, taxing an already burdened system, and inevitably misses some. This is particularly vexing given the data on assisted outpatient treatment, and it's good to hear similar statistics. I think our sources are similar. There's not a lot of statistics on this, but some of the statistics that we have are decent. AOT, assisted outpatient treatment, is one of the vital puzzle pieces to proactive care and engagement, which has demonstrated returns on investment from cost savings, resources, and lives saved.
The goal in Ohio is simple: to keep our loved one with an untreated mental illness from becoming so ill that they are ready to hurt themselves or someone else. We understand that this type of treatment may not be best suited for every single individual in this situation, but for some, it could mean the difference between life and death. It is hopeful that by utilizing these best practices, it will help put an end to the revolving door of the current justice system and put individuals on a path towards recovery in a least restrictive environment as possible. This program not only provides important services to these individuals who need them the most, but it also engages the individual in that very process. This program encourages them to become an engaged patient which ultimately plays an impactful role in producing a positive outcome for both the individual and the greater community.
I believe that the reason I am here today and our experts are here today are for one reason, and that reason is love. We love Oklahoma. We love our citizens. Oklahomans reach out to help those who suffer. You know, our great motto, Oklahoma Strong. So that's why we're here today. We're all searching for a way to help those Oklahomans who suffer. And the subject today is mental illness. You know, I've been thrust into the public eye in the last couple months. And I am overwhelmed by the number of people who approach me in restaurants, in grocery stores, giving a talk somewhere, from people who are serving the food to some of the most successful and brilliant men and women in this state of Oklahoma. And almost on a daily basis I hear, thank you for talking about the subject of mental illness. I have mental illness in my family. My mother had mental illness. My brother committed suicide. My son has schizophrenia. Wow. And many people don't know, what is mental illness? What is mental illness? The brain is an organ, and we have neurotransmitters. And when the chemistry in the brain becomes imbalanced, it makes the brain sick, and the symptom is the behavior. If you have high blood pressure, you take high blood pressure medicine. If you have diabetes, you take insulin. If you have mental illness and your brain chemistry is imbalanced, there are mood stabilizers, there are antidepressants, there are things to help you have a better quality of life, just like the person who suffers with a physical ailment. Please give some consideration to this assisted outpatient treatment so we can help families. It is an exhausting, devastating, unbelievable experience to have a family member with a mental illness. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your presence. God bless you all.